Most people are not losing their minds because they are weak. They are losing them because modern life never stops interrupting them. Every screen screams for attention. Every platform demands reaction. Every headline competes for emotional control. And slowly, without fully realizing it, millions of people are drowning in noise. Not because they lack intelligence, but because the modern world profits from confusion. This is the hidden crisis of the information age. The world promised knowledge, but delivered overstimulation. People consume endless data, yet struggle to think clearly for even a few uninterrupted minutes. Notifications replace reflection. Reaction replaces strategy. Urgency replaces understanding. And eventually, the mind begins collapsing under the weight of constant input. This is psychological entropy, a slow erosion of internal order. And maybe you have already felt it. Opening your phone for 1 minute, then somehow losing an hour trying to focus, while your mind keeps switching tabs internally. Feeling mentally exhausted, without being physically tired. This is the new battlefield of human existence, not physical survival. Mental clarity. Most people no longer fully control their own attention. Their minds are constantly pulled between fear, outrage, stimulation, comparison, trends, urgency, and algorithmic manipulation. One market crash, one viral opinion, one emotional headline, and suddenly their internal world collapses into chaos again. This is why modern exhaustion feels different. People are no longer only physically tired, they are cognitively overloaded, emotionally fragmented, mentally scattered. And in this state, clear thinking becomes almost impossible. The distracted drown in information. The architect extracts signal. That is the difference. Chaos is expensive. Every unnecessary input drains energy from your future. Every emotional reaction interrupts strategic thought. Every hour lost to uncontrolled stimulation delays the construction of a meaningful life. Most people think the danger is lack of opportunity. It is not. The real danger is drowning in infinite opportunities, while lacking the clarity to recognize what truly matters. This is the entropy trap. Too much input, too little filtration, too much urgency, too little direction, and eventually, the human mind begins collapsing under the weight of its own overload. But there is another path, the path of the alchemist. Not a magician, not a superior being, a builder of internal order. The alchemist understands something the modern world has forgotten. Clarity is now a competitive advantage. In a distracted world, focus becomes power. In an emotional world, calm becomes leverage. In a chaotic world, structure becomes freedom. Most people consume chaos. The alchemist refines it. This is the first principle of mental alchemy. Do not absorb the world without filtering it first. Not every headline deserves your attention. Not every opinion deserves your emotional energy. Not every trend deserves your participation. Most information is noise disguised as importance, and the modern world rewards people who react before they think. The alchemist refuses this trap. Instead of reacting emotionally, the alchemist studies patterns. Instead of chasing urgency, the alchemist searches for signal. Instead of drowning in data, the alchemist organizes information into usable structure, because information alone has no value. Applied clarity creates value. This is why silence matters. Not because silence is mystical, but because silence restores cognitive order. In silence, the nervous system slows down. In silence, emotional noise weakens. In silence, thought becomes precise again. Most people are terrified of silence because silence forces them to confront the condition of their own mind. That is why distraction became addiction. Noise became anausencia. Stimulation became escape. And overstimulation became the new form of control. The modern world did not destroy attention through force. It destroyed it through endless stimulation. The alchemist sees this clearly. That is why attention must be protected like infrastructure. Because whatever controls your attention eventually influences the direction of your life. This is the second principle of mental alchemy. Reduce cognitive chaos before seeking higher performance. Most people try to improve productivity while living inside mental overload. That never works. A fragmented mind cannot produce strategic thought. A distracted mind cannot build meaningful systems. An emotionally reactive mind cannot sustain long-term vision. The first task is not acceleration, it is stabilization. This is why the alchemist creates environments of intentional order. Fewer distractions, fewer unnecessary decisions, fewer emotional interruptions, fewer inputs competing for mental bandwidth. Because clarity compounds. The organized mind sees opportunities invisible to chaos-driven people. While others panic, the alchemist observes. While others react, the alchemist positions. While others chase every signal, the alchemist waits for alignment. This is not passivity. It is precision. The predator does not attack every movement in the grass. It waits until energy can be used efficiently. The alchemist understands leverage the same way. One clear decision can outperform years of emotional confusion. One focused system can outperform endless scattered effort. One protected hour of deep work can reshape an entire future. And if you have ever experienced even one truly clear hour, you already know how rare that has become. This is the law of mental leverage. Small moments of clarity, repeated consistently, create extraordinary outcomes over time. Most people underestimate the destructive power of fragmentation. A distracted morning becomes a distracted day. A distracted day becomes a distracted year, and eventually, a distracted life. That is why internal order matters. Without internal order, external success becomes unstable. Money without clarity creates self-destruction. Influence without emotional control creates collapse. Opportunity without structure creates chaos. The alchemist understands that sustainable power must be built on psychological stability, not emotional volatility. This is the third principle of mental alchemy. Transform chaos into structure. Fear becomes analysis. Confusion becomes observation. Pressure becomes refinement. Distraction becomes filtration. Noise becomes signal. Most people allow chaos to consume them. The alchemist uses chaos as raw material. This is where modern advantage is created, not by escaping complexity, but by organizing complexity better than everyone else. The future belongs to people who can think clearly, while the world panics. Because modern society rewards emotional reaction, but reality rewards strategic clarity. This is why calm people often appear powerful, not because they know everything, but because they are not drowning in uncontrolled input. Their minds remain organized, while others collapse into overstimulation. That organization creates leverage. This is the hidden architecture of order, not force, not domination, not superiority, alignment, structure, signal extraction, intentional focus. Most people are overwhelmed because they attempt to process everything equally. The alchemist understands hierarchy. Some information matters enormously. Most information changes nothing. Learning this distinction changes everything. Because energy is finite, attention is finite, time is finite, and every moment wasted processing useless noise weakens the construction of your future. This is why the strongest minds often appear calmer than average minds. Their environments are cleaner, their systems are clearer, their priorities are sharper, their attention is more protected. Complexity is filtered before it reaches the core. This creates internal stillness. And internal stillness creates strategic vision. The modern world mistakes stimulation for intelligence. The alchemist understands the opposite. A calm mind sees farther. A focused mind moves precisely. An organized mind compounds power over time. This is the fourth principle of mental alchemy. Protect your internal order at all costs. Because once the mind becomes chaotic, everything else eventually follows. Health declines, relationships weaken, discipline collapses, decision-making deteriorates, direction disappears. That is the true danger of entropy, not destruction from outside. Collapse from within. The alchemist refuses internal collapse. Instead, chaos becomes fuel. Pressure becomes refinement. Noise becomes filtration training. Complexity becomes a test of mental architecture. And slowly, a different type of human emerges, not louder, not more emotional, not more reactive, more precise, more focused, more difficult to manipulate. This is the advantage of clarity in the age of information collapse. While the world burns energy reacting, the alchemist builds systems. While the crowd consumes stimulation, the alchemist compounds wisdom. While others drown in noise, the alchemist creates order. This is the final truth. Reality becomes manageable the moment your mind becomes organized. Not because the world became less chaotic, but because you stopped allowing chaos to control your internal state. The world will continue producing noise, infinite headlines, infinite trends, infinite distractions, infinite emotional manipulation. That will never end. But your participation in the chaos can end. That choice remains yours. You can continue drowning in randomness, or you can become the architect of your own clarity. Because in an age where attention is collapsing, the rarest form of power is no longer intelligence alone. It is the ability to remain clear long enough to think independently. And once you realize that, you begin seeing the modern world very differently.